Hi, this is Godfrey, your trusted mentor and the coach for the Candidate Fast Track Coaching Program. We are now on module number 6. We are progressing very well. In this module, we are going to discuss the degree of responsibilities. How should you describe this degree of responsibilities? So as you look on your ECSA application form, on the template, the TERs or the Training and Experience Report form, you will see at the bottom left right hand corner, there's this degree of responsibilities that you need to indicate on each TER as you progress with your experience. So I'm going to go through them so that you understand with examples how do you cover and identify yourself or tick which degree of responsibility is necessary for you. Right. Degree responsibility A. This is the degree or the responsibility or the level where you are being exposed and you are still under supervision. So this is when you have just qualified with your first engineering qualification with maybe a diploma, a BTech or an advanced diploma or a BSc or BEng. You just got qualified and you are now being employed in the field of engineering, and you begin to get a bit of exposure on how the engineering work is done. So I'm going to go through it and I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, the explanation. Being exposed under full supervision as an engineer means that an early career or a trainee engineer is getting practical hands-on experience while being closely guided and overseen by a more experienced engineer. So this is the degree A, where you are being exposed. For example, for site inspection, a junior civil engineer accompanied the senior engineer to a construction site. The senior engineer points out how the foundation work is conducted, how quality checks are performed, and how any deviation from the plan are handled. From the machinery operation, a junior mechanical engineer learns how to operate a CNC machine under a careful supervision of an experienced operator, understanding both the technical operation and the safety precautions involved. Okay, field troubleshooting. And junior electrical engineer, under the guidance of field experts, learns on-site how to troubleshoot signal issues, calibrate equipment, and optimize signal strength. So these are different examples, but the important thing, you are a junior that has been shown or that has been exposed to a particular activity in your field and then understand how the work is done. So it's that level of degree of responsibility. So be careful when you begin to describe your experience and training report at this degree responsibility A, that you don't over explain yourself as someone who has an experience already. So use these examples in your explanation to say, I was employed as a junior electrical engineer, and then I was working under the guidance of a senior electrical engineer, and I was exposed on how to troubleshoot signal issues, how to calibrate equipment, how to optimize signal strength, and so forth. Okay, and then that will help you to describe clearly what is your degree or the level at which you are expected to work. So that's the first one. Okay, the second one, then as you get that experience, you begin to move on. So remember, every time you change a job, your degree of responsibility changes, or you get promoted, your degree of responsibility changes, or your work is disrupted. So if you've been working on a certain degree of responsibility and this disruption of somehow, maybe the project is complete and then you move to the next one. Okay, so this is a degree of responsibility B. You begin to assist, and the responsibility is very limited again. So explanation: assisting responsibility limited applies a situation where an individual provides support to a primary role but has a limited authority or accountability to that outcome. So you're in the place where you're providing support. So let's look at this example. In an engineering project scenario, a junior engineer assists a senior engineer in designing a bridge. Okay, you are not in charge of designing the bridge, you assist. So the senior engineer may pass certain work at your level where you need to assist him. Maybe you need to compile a specification document, or maybe you need to compile a list of all the material required for designing the bridge. Okay, the junior might handle preliminary calculations or draft sections of the design under guidance, but the final review and accountability lies with the senior engineer. Okay, in a construction environment, a junior technician assists skilled technician by carrying material, clearing work areas, or doing preparatory tasks. However, the main skill task like wiring a house, are performed by a trained professional. So this is at a point responsibility where you are supporting, okay, but you're not accountable and you don't have authority to carry out that particular activity. Okay, the next one, degree of responsibility C, participating supervision also is limited. Explanation: participating supervision limited indicates a scenario where an individual is actively involved in a task or a project and has a degree of autonomy, but is still some oversight, though minimal. So as you grow, in your experience, you will begin to get working at different degree of responsibilities, and then your level of oversee, or supervised, it will begin to be minimal. So example, engineering projects. A mid-level engineer may design a component of a large system, making key decisions about the material and layout. A senior engineer reviews the work at critical milestone but doesn't oversee every step. Okay, this is where now you begin to participate, where you take your own decisions, but still a senior engineer need to review just to make sure, but you are in charge of that particular activity. In a construction environment, a site engineer manages daily operations, oversees workers, ensures that tasks are completed, but he or she might have a periodic meeting with the project manager to update him on progress and address major concerns. All right, so I'm giving you different scenarios when you work at this degree of responsibilities. When you begin to participate, now you're getting involved in taking decisions, supervision becomes to diminish bit by bit. Okay, the next one, degree of responsibility D, contributing, performs works and detail approval. Explanation: contributing, performs works, detail approval signifies a scenario in which an individual actively partakes in a task or project and executes significant portion of the work. However, the final output or the results undergoes rigorous review or approval by a higher authority or expert before being accepted or finalized. So this is where now you are taking charge, you are doing on the work, but obviously your supervisor or the senior engineer, it still needs to review and make sure that he gives you the thumbs up, he approves your work, and then you can continue. For example, in an engineering project, an entry-level engineer drafts plans for a roadway. The designs are then subjected to a detailed review by a senior engineer or a team led to ensure compliance with standard and safety. Okay, so that's very, very important. At this level now you begin to contribute, you begin to do the work, but again the work must be verified and checked and be approved by someone who's more senior. This doesn't mean that they're supervising you, they're just checking your work just to make sure that you comply with all the standards and the safety requirements of that particular activity. Okay, so the last one, degree responsibility E, performing. So here there's limited guidance, you are doing the work and taking charge and taking responsibility. Performing refers to a person's ability to carry out the task or responsibilities with minimal supervision or assistance. For example, in an engineering project, a senior mechanical or electrical engineer designs a new machine or a new component, making most decisions independently but checking in occasionally with the project lead for alignment with a large project goals. Okay, so this is where you are performing. So let me say something here. Okay, so when you begin to write or compile your engineering report to cover the 11 outcomes, only 2 degrees of responsibilities must be indicated on all your 11 outcomes. Okay, that's degree responsibility D, where you are contributing, and degree responsibility E, where you are performing the work. So in your engineering report, out of the 11 outcome, you are not going to indicate degree responsibility A or B or C. Okay, these are only degree of responsibilities when you indicate them in your training and experience report. But for your engineering report, you are going to discuss the level D and level E of the work that you have done. Okay, so I hope that is clear. All right. So in the next module, then we have completed the modules on how to address the components of the training and experience report. So we have looked at how do you define the engineering problem. We have looked at how do you investigate a problem and different examples. We have looked at how do you manage engineering work. We have looked at how do you communicate with other stakeholders in the project, and we have looked at how do you comply and apply safety and regulation and risks. And then lastly, we have looked at the different degree of responsibility. So that concludes all the components that we have covered for the training and experience report. So in the next module, then we are going to look at the outcome and how do you describe, how do you then work on your outcomes one by one.